Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Yes, good afternoon, viewers at home. You're welcome to your program, Spring Clinic. It's a program through which we look at various issues concerning healthcare, delivery, the healthcare providers, and even those that are the receiving end of healthcare practice. And usually it comes up at this time every Monday. I'm your regular host on this program, Dr. Adeoye Oyewole. You can always get us on Star Times channels 190 and our social media handles, Western Spring Television. Thank you for keeping up with a date with us. This afternoon, I have the privilege of hosting a distinguished medical doctor, Dr. Philip Ajibade. He's a senior registrar in the Department of Radiology of the Teaching Hospital in Osogbo here. He's also a chief resident of that same department, Radiology Department. And of course, he's also the Deputy General Secretary of NMA, that is Nigerian Medical Association. Today, we are going to look at a very important topic, although it's rarely discussed. It's about the well-being of healthcare workers. At times when a doctor says he's ill or he has malaria, people say, excuse me, do you people also fall sick? I think it's a very general rhetoric. I think today we need to find out whether doctors themselves also get ill. Why do they ever fall sick again, since they are the ones that take care of others? So we're discussing well-being of healthcare workers, and I have Dr. Philip Ajibade with me this afternoon. Doctor, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a privilege to have you here.
The honor is mine.
Yes, we are going to look at this topic. Thank God you're a doctor and you're a human being.
Yes, sir.
What is well-being? In essence, when do we say somebody is well?
Well-being is actually the health of a patient. It's the general status of a patient, physically, mentally, spiritually. So it actually embodies all those combined together.
So beyond the fact that a doctor puts his stethoscope on me or does some test on me, on my body, does not guarantee that I'm well?
Definitely. 100%.
So there are other parameters.
Other parameters.
Like what? How do we look at these other parameters? How do we assess it or ascertain that these other parameters are in place?
Well, a doctor actually can be depressed, mental behavioral, mental
have depression, yes.
Yes. It can also have a social, economic issues. Your doctor seeing you may actually be having a lot of mortgage to pay. You may have a lot of debt burden. You may be the only breadwinner of an extended family. Beyond
the fact that we just see him kitted up and he comes to his clinic and everywhere is shining.
And that same doctor may have been working in the hospital for the past 48 hours. So he's tired.
And he may even have marital problems.
Definitely.
Which could even impact on his mental health.
Even with the school fees of the children.
The school fees. So when we look at health in that global sense, we're not just looking at the clinical dimensions alone.
Yes, sir.
We're looking at health in the context of the social side of the person's life, the economic side of that person's life, and of course the psychological aspect.
Definitely.
Now, doctors, is there any record that doctors actually fall sick, or that there is any indication that doctors actually have this problem?
Yes.
That they actually have health problems?
There are actually a lot of record in Nigeria. Where I work. I've seen doctors come up with hypertension.
Really?
Yes. And I've seen doctors commit suicide. And that's the scary part of it all. We go through what the number of people go through. We have feelings, emotions. And there are a lot of exams in the medical profession. And this exam, when someone fails the exam once or twice, it may affect the well-being of that patient, of the doctor.
Because it's not making progress.
It's not making progress, and it's stagnant.
And it's stagnant. So at times there could be a lot of psychological issues among doctors.
Yes.
That's surprising, because the people out there don't believe that doctors have any challenge. Because, you know, in our course of duty, we are trained to be stoic. We are trained to hold it up.
Yes.
We are trained to provide, care. And we should not betray our emotions. So it's surprising that You are telling us now that doctors themselves, also cry.
Doctors are human beings too.
Okay, so, let's start from looking at the training. Don't you think there's something about the recruitment of people who become doctors and their susceptibility to some of these problems?
Well, initially, from the onset of people going to medical school, it's actually from the best of the best.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people may not be outright flatly caught out for medicine.
So at the recruitment stage,
yes,
there may be some people who are supposed to have done some other form of courses.
Yes.
And then they now found themselves in medical school.
Yes.
And so the training itself and then their personality may be a mismatch. So that could mean that even in medical schools at times, we have a lot of people coming down with mental health problems.
Definitely.
Because of this mismatch.
Definitely. In medical schools,
yeah,
there are some people, just because they are intelligent, they are brilliant,
yep,
they are all A students. Mm-hmm. The next thing the society will put pressure on them is to go and study medicine. Meanwhile, this may just be a very, very intelligent engineer
or a computer scientist.
Yes, sir.
So we are saying now, and then I think people at home need to listen to these parents, yeah, that the fact that your child is very intelligent, very brilliant, does not mean he has to end up a doctor.
No, definitely.
Yeah, there are other other professions that can bring out the best and a lot of money, bring out the best out of them, yes, rather than, oh, that your son must study medicine. So I think maybe some of at the level, yeah, of the recruitment, some form of mismatch is already there.
It is.
Yeah, but this your training, how is it? Is it, because at times when somebody enters medical school, it's like they don't have any time to rest. Is it true?
It's very true. The schedule is already against the doctor. Medical school training, in medical school you have to go to class from 8 even to as much as 9 p.m. in the evening.
Yeah, because from the classroom, you can go to the clinic.
You go to the clinic. Therefore, then you have to attend your call. And as a doctor, too, even now you have been on your own, you have someone to report to. So you have to keep working for 48 hours, non-stretch. And sometimes in the hospital, you'll be shocked that some doctors work for 72 hours call. Start a call on Friday evening and finish it on Monday morning. And you have to continue work immediately on Monday.
Is it the fault of your managers, or is a culture that cannot be modified? For instance, medical students hardly ever go on break.
Yes.
It's as bad as, I think from the day one you enter medical school, there is no holiday till you graduate. Or is this some form of holiday?
Definitely no. Most times in medical school, once you start your program is already fixed for you. Once you are finishing maybe biochemistry, yeah, anatomy, physiology, maybe you can just get an intern 1 week after your part 1 MBBS. But once you get to the clinical aspect of it, from pathology and pharmacology, you go straight to internal medicine, you go straight into obstetrics and gynecology, into surgery. These things already, they've calendar. As they're finishing one posting, they are going straight into another posting.
Now, doctor,
yeah,
don't you think, how does this impact on the social skills development and emotional development of doctors? Because the majority of people enter into medical school in their teenage years and into young adulthood. How do they expect them to learn to discover themselves, to interact socially? Or don't you think this may be one of the reasons that lay foundations for a lot of problems they have when they become doctors?
Actually, for that social aspect of it, I have seen people that went through the rigors of medical school, then after the training, they drop their certificates and focus on their true passion. For some of them that is able to probably hold themselves and still keep up with their passion. Meanwhile, some of them may end up finishing medical school and end up being broken. And then going back into the medical world, which is, in a way, let me put it, cruel, because it's survival of the fittest. I believe that you are saving the life of a patient. There must not be any mistake. And we know there must not be any mistake in saving the patient.
Yes, yeah.
And looking at the number of the doctor-patient ratio, normally according to WHO,
yeah,
there should be 1 doctor to 600 patients.
What is the ratio now in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, it's 1 doctor to 10,000 patients.
No, because we need to find a way to hold people like you down. Because a lot of the rate of attrition, the rate at which our young doctors are actually leaving the country is enormous. It's alarming. But before we even get into that, I'm looking at the psychodynamics of the training of the doctor. And then we've laid a foundation that, 1, people who are very brilliant. Number 2, the dynamics of the training does not give you a room to even be yourself. So, so how can it, do we need to speak to your teachers? Do we need to speak to universities to find something to do about it, or what can we do about this one? Because it seems to be that the calendar, the atmosphere of training may be laying foundations for a lot of physical and mental health problems for the doctor in the future.
Yes.
What do you have to say about this?
Concerning that, I'm actually quite happy that the current set of doctors we are having now, they are trying to change the narratives. But it's not something that I think is going to be a war that we're going to win very soon. You understand? We have to train the mindset of people at the top that a doctor is not a machine. And you cannot, even abroad, they wrote a research in America, especially among anesthesiologists, because they realized that there's a high rate of suicide among them.
Among anesthesiologists? Yes, so, is that your field? No, you're a radiologist.
Yes, I'm a radiologist. So what they decide to do is that there's what they call burnout in anesthesia.
Yeah.
So when a doctor does a call, he goes home, you understand, the next day, just to release from the burnout, because most time anesthesia will deal with a patient in the ICU, they will deal with a patient in theater.
Yes, please.
So these are things that if every specialty actually take note of that, and again, if we try to also encourage the new doctors from leaving the country, I think this will be, we are going to solve this issue.
So what you're saying in essence is that a lot of doctors suffer from what they call executive burnout.
Yes, they do that.
Burnout.
The burnout.
What are the symptoms of this burnout that you're describing? How does it manifest?
It can manifest in different forms. And it can be dangerous and manifest as a form of suicide or depression among doctors.
Some, that's the extreme end.
That's the
Some,
extreme
they can
end.
actually get depressed.
Yes.
Loss of interest in usual activities. They are no longer excited about
They are
work.
not.
And then
They'll come to work and they'll be like a shadow of themselves. They'll smile, they'll see patients, they'll do what they're supposed to do ethically because we have to do that.
You have
and
to
we have
do that,
So
yeah.
they'll do their knives.
like a mask.
That's a mask. They have
That's a mask of them, yeah.
But deep down, they go back. They're always tired. They're always not happy.
The,
You understand?
a good number who are suffering from this
they are not
executive
always
burnout.
happy. So most time they do their job.
I understand.
But I just hope that because I think because of the training has in a way made us strong.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we are not really seeing a lot of
This your
depression.
training, can it be because of your Hippocratic Oath? What do you have to say about the context of our Hippocratic Oath and the realities of our modern world?
The Hippocratic Oath is more like is a form of like a form of code. We are supposed to uphold,
Yeah.
which I think is good. But the training, on the other hand, I feel can be modified. I think we have to have a roundtable discussion between the resident doctors, the MD-Can, and every other point in the health sector, especially in medicine.
In medicine.
Because to hold a doctor down in Nigeria is even more than the finance now. Understand? Some people actually have genuine interest to work in Nigeria to see people here. But it's like looking at it, let's even look at the statistics I gave earlier. In the United Kingdom, it's one doctor to 314 patients. And despite that, they are still recruiting more patients from all over the world.
But why is it that our government is not giving heed to this? What do you think in your own candidate? Because you see, I'm curious because a good number of our chief medical directors, all our medical directors are senior doctors.
Yes.
Most times when we have ministers of education, ministers of health or commissioners of health, they are oftentimes medical doctors.
Yes.
Why is it that some of these issues we are raising about the well-being of doctors has not caught their attention?
Let me put it this way. I think the chief medical directors of hospital, they are doing very well within their province, within their required jurisdiction.
Okay.
I think, first of all, we have to look at the fact that a long-term approach to cutting short the exodus of doctors and to get the interest of doctors to practice. First of all, depending on the empathy, just like we show empathy to our patients, we expect empathy among the medical world, among doctors itself.
Or even the society, isn't it?
Even the society.
Yeah, but the society believes that a doctor is earning so much. When you enter a place, they say doctor, like he has all the money in the world. The doctor has it figured out. Where did this impression come? Did it used to be like that in the past and something changed? Or where did we get this toga that once you're a doctor, you're a multimillionaire, money is not your problem, emotional issues is not your problem and all that? Could it be what the impression you doctors give?
No, I think they are actually mistaking being a noble profession to be a monetary profession.
Okay.
A doctor in the
You are saying nobility is different from the economic sense.
Different from it. You can be royal, but you may not be rich. It depends on the pedigree of the profession. Medicine itself is a noble profession.
Absolutely.
It's something that you have to do for a lifetime. It's something you have to be empathic about. You can't be a wicked person and do medicine.
Absolutely.
You have to show the love.
Because it's a lot of sacrifice.
It's a lot of sacrifice. So I think those people actually convince that nobility for medicine. As a doctor, well, we can put it this way, you may be comfortable.
Invariably.
In the mild sense of it.
But it's not that you have it all figured out.
You will probably be having a bulletproof car or be buying a private jet.
But why can this thing be reconstructed? Because I know in the last dispensation, we have a doctor as a Minister of Labor and Productivity. We also have a doctor as a Minister of Health.
Yes.
And they were almost arguing against doctors' well-being, about the fact that when they were talking about doctors who are doing NYC shouldn't be paid call duty allowances or something like that. I just want to know what is it? How can it be solved? Because what you're telling me, which I also know is true, is that doctors, just like any other human being, can fall sick. They have physical problems. Their health can be affected. Their mental health can also be affected. And then there are factors inherent in the training and in the practice that are strong factors of predisposition to the health. What do you think can be done? Thank God you are the General Deputy. I'm speaking to Dr. Philip Ajibade, is the Deputy General Secretary of Osun State NMA.
Yes,
so apart from being a radiologist in training, you're also involved in the medical union activities. So what do you think can be done to be able to help doctors in this light?
A lot can be done.
Okay, sir.
A lot can be done. First of all, we need all doctors to believe that there's a problem. Some actually believe that everything is normal. We should follow status quo.
Okay.
That number one. Number two, the Association of Resident Doctors at the Nigerian Medical Association, in a way, our Association of Resident Doctors have been doing very well. Also, NMA too have been doing extremely very well. I think there should be a common ground. We should have a uniform front, because what a resident's challenge is different from what a consultant challenge is. And in the training, we are having more young doctors leaving the country.
Yeah. And
that aside, apart from the monetary aspect, because we still buy fuel the same, buy fuel at the same price.
Yeah.
We still go to market at the same time. There are also the challenges about the work personnel. You can't be being a doctor to 10,000 patients and work every day, and that will not even be burdensome on your heart. It's sad. And I'll say the statistics are there. How will a country that have 1 to 300 ratio of doctors, like United States, still be actively recruiting doctors from all over the world? To be able to ensure that the workload is not as enormous. And they have, the WHO says 1 doctor to 600 patients. I understand, sir. And now, yet you have this number. Yeah. Beyond doctors, what do you, from your own experience, you know, there are nurses, there are laboratory technologists who work around the clock. Can you say the same of these other workers in the healthcare industry about this issue of well-being and the factors that affect them? Everybody in the healthcare profession, we are working for a unified front. And the goal is to make sure that we have elderly patients that go home happy and we're able to take care of the need. Everybody in the hospital are doing their best. And of course, they are equally challenged. They are equally stressed. The nurses are not just beautiful. Doctors, yeah. Yeah, the scientists are wonderful. Yeah. Everybody, the radiographers that I work with, they are very, very good. Because at times, you know, some people wonder, why will I marry a woman that will not sleep at home for like 1 week? No. And then when I'm free again, when I'm going to work, she will not be free. You know, that also because of this shift duties. Some medical technologists may need to be called in the dead of the night when they're on call to possibly come and do an emergency test because they want to operate a patient. So what we have said is that the healthcare industry is actually a stressful industry. It is actually. Okay. It is a stressful industry. And anybody married to maybe a doctor, you know, she can't himself very lucky. Because his wife is offering something tangible to the society. Yeah, but you see, it could be at the expense of the mental health of the children and of the family generally. That's why I have to respect the female colleagues.
Yeah.
They are doing very wonderfully.
But some of you keep marrying, doctors keep marrying doctors, or doctors keep marrying. Could it be because your whole social milieu is not anything outside of the hospital?
Well,
but I think things are changing a little, or is it the same?
Actually. Once you touch on that part, it just made me remember that my wife is also a doctor.
Oh, your wife is a doctor?
She's a doctor too.
Wow.
But that aside, you know, we spend most of our life in the hospital.
So most of the people you interact with, most of the people you know, are also within the hospital.
They're also within the hospital.
Oftentimes it's difficult to be able to talk to somebody who, you know, is outside of that your milieu.
Yes, but at the same time, things are changing. And the young doctors nowadays, they don't want to follow the step of our fathers.
Okay.
So they are trying to probably go outside, see the future for what it is. Yeah. And sometimes, most of the time now, I've seen doctors nowadays taking a break from medicine to probably just take time for themselves, figure out life for themselves, and have themselves do what they want to continue.
Because I think that we have had doctors who are musicians, doctors who are politicians, doctors who are journalists, doctors who are movie stars, isn't it?
Yes.
So what do you have to say about that? Could it be a reaction? Is it a normal reaction, considering the amount of resources that have gone into the training of a doctor? And then somebody just says, I want to be a movie star. What's your own comment about that?
I think sometimes your passion, it depends on your passion actually, let me put it that way. It is going to be wrong for you to die in a profession that you probably feel like you love. It's also love. It's not as if you don't love it. But there's something that's born in your heart. You know that you have so much to offer in the world.
Could it be that it is at the level of recruitment that maybe some of them got it wrong? They feel they had a passion to be a medical doctor, but midway, they saw that there's a higher or a bigger passion inside of their heart. And so when they now graduated and became a medical doctor, they now say, okay, let me now find time to pursue my passion.
Let me put it like this. I think sometimes there is talent within everybody. Sometimes it's just that talent, you know you have it, but you don't want it to die. And some people end up pursuing their talent. And what would I say to that? I think it's a very good thing for them. And coming back, some actually come back to the medical profession after some time. Some probably
they're just taking a break.
And I think it's okay. If we are trying to solve this issue of mental health, I think this is a way that you can help. Take a time, figure yourself out, then come back to the profession.
Absolutely.
I think somebody that is mentally ready will be very fine and fit for the job.
No, but there's this issue of malpractice. Of course, oftentimes, maybe because of our culture and our religious leanings, a lot of malpractice in our society is being masked. Once a patient dies and they say, oh, let us even do post-mortem, they say, no, don't do it, please. Let the dead rest, isn't it? The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh. What do you think about malpractice? Is it? What do you think about it? Is it very common or is not? Or what's your take on it? Malpractice.
Quackery.
Yes, quackery. Not just quackery, even among doctors and other healthcare workers.
Malpractice, in a way, I think it's just the understanding of the environment we are. About some patient requesting for maybe a dead patient, they want to go and bury immediately. Yeah. This can be due to religious and
yes, some people don't want the post-mortem. Yes, please, yeah.
Yes. We sometimes is their right, maybe is their they own the body and it's their right. But in the medical world, where we are not sure of something, we want it to go for post-mortem. Yeah. We want to know the exact cause. It is important for us, and depending on the category of death, if it's something that has to do with maybe like disease of medical importance or economic importance, that you must know. If we don't know the cause, it may be disastrous to the whole society. Yeah. Then by then, the hospital can come in, the government can come in, and we can just go ahead.
But we have found out that doctors at times who are not even trained in a particular field also hold on to patients till almost the patient becomes difficult to be managed. What's your comment about that?
Every doctor knows his limits.
But do every doctor, do they obey that limit? Because you see, as much as we say that, because you are from the teaching hospital. In the teaching hospital, it looks like an ideal place where you're a radiologist. You wouldn't say you want to go and start operating people or start treating psychiatric patients. But you see, stepping out of the teaching hospital and getting into the society, we have doctors who parade themselves as being able to solve all the problems, especially when you go into urban centers. And of course, a lot of people have actually been mismanaged. Could it be as a result of the mental health problem, or the economic drive?
Let me put it this way. Most doctors actually have gone through the training.
Yeah.
And a doctor knows his limits. And when to refer to
a doctor should know his limit.
They know their limits. And they should know their limits, but they know their limits.
Okay.
Most doctors know when to refer.
Okay.
As a general practitioner now, as a GP, as a family physician, when you see your patient after managing some time, I realize that this patient needs a further review by another colleague.
Yeah.
They go ahead and actually send a...
Oftentimes, don't you know, this may even, this may stand against the business model of running a medical clinic. But we will address that more when we come back. Viewers at home, you are with us on Spring Clinic, your program where we explore different issues concerning healthcare. I have the pleasure of having Dr. Philip Ajibade, Senior Resident in the Department of Radiology. So please stay with us, don't go away as we go for a short break. Thank you.
Healers Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness and participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. first television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Yes, you're welcome back after the short break to Spring Clinic on Western Spring Television, Star Times channels 190. What we are discussing today is about the well-being of healthcare workers, and I have the privilege of having Dr. Philip Ajibade, who is the Deputy General Secretary of Osun State NMA. You're welcome to this other segment.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, before we went on that short break, we were looking at the business end of medical practice.
Okay.
Now, there's this very popular rhetorics among doctors that about equipment, and then that may also be responsible for medical tourism. What is your comment on this? Is there any justification for this medical tourism on the premise of availability of equipment, or is it the competence of you doctors that encourages medical tourism among our elite class?
Medical tourism, in a way, has been for a long time, and I think the Nigerian doctors have been hardworking, they've been proficient, and they've been doing very, very well.
So why do we have it? Why do we have our leaders?
Some people think it's a show of affluence,
Okay.
being rich, and to the extent that it's just, let's put it this way, I think it's very sad what we have in Nigeria, because we have the best of brains. And some of my colleagues will actually come to me and tell me that, imagine, if I'm in Nigeria, no, I won't probably have an opportunity to treat anybody important. Everybody's important. You know? What I mean by that is probably a governor will not come to me, probably a politician, a president
Will
will
it
not
be
come
because
to me.
of competence?
It's not because of competence.
Is it the availability of equipment?
Well, that may be a factor, and that may also be a show of affluence, as I said. I don't know why you live in Nigeria and go and see a Nigerian doctor in the United Kingdom, or say a Nigerian doctor in every part of the world. And that alone will discourage a lot of non-doctors in Nigeria.
But somehow, we don't have the equipment.
There are some, if you look at Nigeria in a way,
Yeah.
there are some states that have different equipment compared to some other states.
Okay.
We are trying as much as
It's not
possible.
that it's very bad,
You are not that,
but you don't have the
terrible.
top-notch equipment when
We
you.
have top-notch equipment. There's,
But they are not like sufficient enough to be able to guarantee that level of practice.
we still have some sufficient equipment.
How about private practices? Do we have that being augmented by private medical practice in Nigeria?
Private medical practice in Nigeria over time have shown responsibility and have come to the challenge. And we have to thank them because they have been there when there are some issues in the government sector.
I think some of our private hospitals are actually
Are doing very, very well.
in terms of equipment and expertise.
They have equipment. And there are some doctors that come together from a board of directors, provide word of the state equipment in their hospitals. They are all over there. We have them in Osun State here. We have in Lagos.
Yeah.
They're also there in Abuja. So
Even in
Port Harcourt-
Lagos, Port Harcourt, yes.
Yes, they have them. So why we want to say that, why are people traveling for medical tourism abroad? Sometimes I wonder why. Is as a most of those is a show of affluence, and that will definitely discourage Nigerian doctors.
Absolutely.
Because
it has a negative effect.
It does actually.
On the practice of medicine in Nigeria.
It does. There's even some saying now. I had somebody say something one day, and I look back and realize that, man, this is not a good way of saying this. She look at it like, oh, all the good doctors are leaving Nigeria. So what do you mean by that? So the terrible one are the ones staying in Nigeria, and any young doctor that had that will probably be so disappointed. Will be like, all right, let me take my bag and go. And me, it's not as if some of us have not have opportunity of living in Nigeria, but it's just for the passion we have for Nigeria. We believe Nigeria is a country. You can't leave the over 200 million people behind and go for people that want to go. They are doing so. They are noble people. They are doing so. But showing that we love the citizen, we can't allow that such of a.
What do you have to say about doctors and other medical practitioners in the private hospital in terms of burnout, their remunerations, and then, of course, fulfillment in practice? What's your own comment about that, generally speaking?
In the private setting?
Yes, the private medical industry.
In the private medical industry, it actually varies. Some are actually operating at a very high standard with high-class doctors, as in the qualified doctors that command every specialty, and some private facilities actually undergo residency training too, and that's how that can be.
But some other private installations are not as well equipped because there have been a lot of concerns about some form of hospitals that should not even be called a hospital and parading itself as a hospital. What do you have to say about that? Whose fault? Is it the doctors? Is it the government? Or who should be responsible?
I think sometimes we need to also about that. Sometimes we need to even actually educate the public that there's a difference between an hospital and a clinic. A clinic is just for you to come see your doctor on appointment. While an hospital, we actually cater to all your need. Yeah. You can't see a gunshot victim in the middle of the night and rush that person to a clinic instant.
You need a hospital.
You need to take that person to a hospital.
Because that may require different kinds of doctors to work.
Definitely.
And different kind of resources.
Emergency means that because before you take a patient to one, you already waste time in actually salvaging that patient's life. So immediately you have probably a gunshot or a very terrible accident, take a patient to a place where you can have a multifactorial approach. Probably when you need a neurosurgeon, a cardiothoracic surgeon, interventional radiologist, or somebody, vascular surgeon, everybody will be on that. Qualified nurses of different specialties, healthcare, everybody is on ground to treat them. Yeah. So these are some things and some mistakes some people make. And before getting to a tertiary center, probably the patient is already lost a lot of blood. We try to salvage as much as possible, but...
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ajibade. I want to look at the issue of the team, the medical team.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear mostly at times that if there's a trouble, if there's a kind of a misunderstanding between the doctor and the nurse, it bounces on the patient. How often does this take place, and how is this being mitigated when it occurs?
Nigerian doctors have shown high level of responsibility, and they try to be professional in all their doings. A doctor actually makes sure that everything is right on track. We try to avoid
conflict.
As much as possible in the field.
But we see your unions at loggerheads when it comes to you want to collect more money, you want to fight for some form of promotion or allowances and all of that. How do you explain that? Or that has to just do with unionism, not necessarily in the quality of practice?
Well, for what we do in the hospital, we take care of the patient in its whole totality. That is our patient. That's the reason why we are there. We don't have any unionism to affect what we are doing. NMA is fighting a fight for doctors, and we are fighting generally for the hospital. So we have no problem with anybody. We are the problem. We are just trying to make sure that healthcare in Nigeria take a high and a good turn. So every patient, it's about the patient, it's about the ordinary woman on the street selling oranges, or the mechanic in the workshop. So all this thing we are doing is just for the patient, for the Nigerian people. It's not actually for our selfish interest. I will not engage in any rhetorics with anybody that's a fight for what? We have our patient, we have our staff.
What's your comment about the National Health Insurance Scheme? Because by the time it was being launched, we were told that it's going to be the magic wand that is going to solve all our problems, is going to help in terms of financing of the hospital, is going to take care of even the remunerations of healthcare workers. What's your comment so far, and what do you think needs to be done?
For the health insurance scheme, I think it's a very good approach. For me, in radiology, I've seen patients come to the hospital. Some of their scans are covered by the scheme. And some drugs are covered by the scheme, because there are some drugs definitely that are way, way, way expensive on that scheme. But National Health Insurance Scheme, which I feel can also be done in a very, very more, maybe in a elaborate way. But still, I think for now, I think it's a good initiative. And I think if everybody can get their hands on it, and again, in Osun State, I think we also have the Osun State Health Insurance Scheme too. So,
do you have it operational in the teaching hospital?
Yeah, it's very operational.
What do you think about the coverage? Is it covering? And then people have complained that most times when they come, they're not giving more than just one paracetamol or something, and then they feel they should go. What is your comment about it? Is it true that they are not adequately treated, as though if they pay?
No, I will not put it that.
Okay.
Let me talk on the aspect of the doctors.
Okay.
In response to OHIS patients, the doctors have tried to do everything as humanly possible. They will not just say because you are an insurance patient and you are paying money, they will treat you separately. The same approach of care you receive from a patient that pay and a patient from insurance, you get the same approach of care. There's no discrimination. So from the medical part, from the doctor's part of it, and I think we have no issue. We will not do that. We will not do that.
That's good. So concerning this well-being of healthcare workers, what are some of your proposals? I'm just thinking, do doctors need a doctor to check them regularly?
Definitely. Definitely.
Because I found out that most of the things you doctors counsel people not to do, doctors will tell you don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, have enough rest, don't stay awake for too long. You people violate all these instructions with impunity. How do you explain this?
Well, first of all, we have to look at the profession.
Okay.
The healthcare profession will not give you that time.
But you are the one that keeps advising us that if I'm a businessman, I should rest. That everything is not money. Everything is not that I should rest. So why are you giving advice? What can we do to these doctors? How do we help you people? What do you think can be done?
All right.
Because you are giving me pieces of advice for well-being, and you are the one that is equally violating it. It looks antithetical.
Well, we are there for them.
Yes.
So, in as much that we are also tired, we are frustrated, we are giving them advice. Because of that, we won't be in the hospital. So what they can
could be
do,
done? Yes.
they can do to help us is if they can increase the ratio of doctor to patient in the country to 1 to 600. Currently, we are operating at 1 to 10,000. And that is a far-fetched for me going to sleep at home when I know there are probably hundreds of patients in the hospital.
Don't you think you people may need management experts? Because at times, for instance, I don't know, I've not still found the rationale for why junior doctors, house officers are the one manning emergencies.
No?
One, they are not, oftentimes they are the first line. Abi? It's not the house officers that people meet.
Let me give a case study of Uni Osun Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
We have qualified medical officers in Uni Osun.
Consultants.
We have consultants in charge. President, I think it's president of Dr. Ayodeji Ogungbemi.
Okay, he's the one in charge of.
And they're probably not only, it's actually more than, there are actually more consultants there. So if you go to our teaching hospital in question, you go there, house officers is probably not the first line.
Not
you
the
have
first
medical officers.
Okay.
They are trained medical officers, professionals.
Can the schedule of duty, is there something you can do to tinker a little bit to mitigate this issue of well-being? What I mean is this. I mean, why will I want to put somebody on duty for 72 hours non-stop? Because if somebody is doing a particular task for 72 hours, I imagine that there's going to be some form of depreciation,
Yes.
some of damage to that person's health. Can we do something about schedules and it's rearranged in such a way that we don't have this kind of trouble, despite the fact that we don't have enough hands?
We just have to get enough hands.
Pardon?
You have to get enough hands. And
Yes, but they are running away. So now that we don't have enough hands, what can be done?
Well, first of all, apart from running away, there's something things government can do.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the state government, I'm talking about government, generally the federal government. Security.
Okay, security.
Security.
Okay.
I have tend to talk to doctors also in Nigeria. Where are they living? Some of them say that the security of life and property is not there. So why should they stay? Some can actually manage money, you understand?
Although it's not enough.
Which is not enough.
Some of you guys, some doctors are 40, 45 and are not married. Is it also because of financial reasons or because of the job? Or is it part of this well-being that is affected, that you see young men who have graduated for 10 years, doctors, and they are not married?
Well, for marriage, I think it can be personal reasons though.
And those personal reasons, can we exploit? I mean, let's look at the psychodynamics of the fact that young doctors who are like 40, consultants, and are not married. A good number.
Let me put it this way. There are some doctors that they are actually like the backbone of their extended family. So
Okay.
meaning that if you get married, the attention you give your family
The
will
financial,
depreciate.
yes, and the financial
And the-
implications.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's maybe a and number two, some may be like, I'm not ready. I'm not going to that state yet. Because the challenge of the medical profession, as rightly said, they are there.
Yeah, but,
doctor
but you talk of work-life balance, because
Yes.
if you keep talking about the work, it looks like doctors are more fixated on their work by virtue of the calling, rather than maintaining a balance.
They have to. The work is important.
It is important, but their own health and their life is also important.
That's why I keep saying there's nothing or there's no much what we can do now if the doctor-patient ratio is not stabilized.
Yeah.
We can keep talking because normally there was a time I was at home
Yep.
and I think that day I was not on call. But my colleague just called me that, well, I have too many patients.
And so you have to
tired
leave your
of-
house.
Even though I did not even sleep or I'm just tired, I have to stand up because I'm considering the health of him.
But we also learned that some of you people are so fixated on that job that even when you're on leave, you still walk around the hospital. Anyway, I have the privilege of speaking to Dr. Philip Ajibade, who is a senior registrar at the Department of Radiology and the chief resident. He's also the Deputy General Secretary of Osun State NMA. As a parting word, what do you have as solutions that can help to improve the well-being of healthcare workers generally?
First of all, let me put it there. The government should try and recruit more doctors,
Yes.
entice the doctors, no harsh word on healthcare personnel, because outside doctors too, different healthcare workers are leaving. The nurses,
The nurses,
and all.
yes.
And also,
So the government
security,
needs to provide a
they need
conducive
to,
environment.
security is very, very, and again, I didn't even touch on one important issue,
Yeah.
security in the hospital. I've seen cases where, because
Doctors
of
have been beaten up.
they are beaten up. All these doctors have been macheted on his head.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's not even his fault. You
So apart
bring-
from that, what other measures do you think should be in place
well, we should
to
also
protect the well-being?
everybody should also realize that doctors are human beings. You understand? We have what we are going through, even though we are going to be professional in everything we do.
And I think doctors themselves need to know that they are humans
Oh, definitely.
and take care of their health,
Yeah.
their well-being, and also be able to understand the dynamics of work-life balance. Viewers at home, it's been a wonderful time this afternoon where we have been discussing the well-being of healthcare workers. I have the privilege of speaking with Dr. Philip Ajibade, who is the Deputy General Secretary of Osun State NMA. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Doctor.
Thank you very much,
I
sir.
hope to see more of you on this program.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. So, viewers at home, we are rounding up and then hope to see you this time next week on this your popular program, the Spring Clinic, on this same channel. Thank you, and expecting you to see you next week.